Plus, a make-ahead fork-tender brisket that'll feed your whole family.
I can't believe how tender this is.
So now come and join us in the kitchen because you're going to love this. We are having brisket. Now, I think it's fair to say that brisket is a dish that really transcends all cultures.
Absolutely.
It's delicious, it's juicy, it's everything. And here in Wallace with her lighter, brighter, and juicier version, welcome back, Chef Paula Scheuer. Welcome back.
Hi, so great to be back in this kitchen.
I mean, when you say a juicier brisket, I can't even imagine. Brisket is one of my favorite foods. It's so juicy and tender.
It is, but it has to be cooked properly.
Yes,
you know that.
this is
Otherwise,
true.
it's tough. And my method, I think, is foolproof and works perfectly and is nice and moist.
And, you know, I don't really trust someone who doesn't like brisket. Unless you're vegan or vegetarian, then it would make
Then they
sense.
get a
You don't
pass.
like, you get a pass. But brisket is one of the best cuts of meat.
Well, it's this classic winter comfort food. It's one of these foods like from our ancestors that make us feel really good and connects us to them.
It's so cozy.
It's so cozy. I always feel like traditional foods give you like a hug from your ancestors and it like makes you feel like connected to them. So it's just so great.
So how do we start with the brisket? So first of all, is there a specific type of, when you go to the butcher, you say, I need this exact?
This is like one of the most important things about brisket,
Okay.
second cut.
Second
Because the first cut is too lean, so you don't get nice fat and it doesn't taste as juicy. It's just harder to get it tender. So here we have our brisket that's already been browned, and because it's Passover, we use matzah cake meal.
Okay.
But during the year, I might use flour or even potato starch for somebody who's gluten-free.
So that's how it gets that crisp on the
All you
edge?
do is like pat, you could do this for chicken, for any kind of meat. You like pat the dry stuff on top of the meat, and then you sear it in a pan, and we did that over here already.
So how long do we
do it
sear?
about 4 minutes, 5 minutes, till you
That's
see
it?
like kind of crispy parts. You really want to see something on the meat.
Okay. All right. So then after we've seared and browned the meat, we take it out, we
take
set it
it
aside,
out,
and then we add all of the other beautiful flavors that are going to really help
So this
make
brisket is
so
modeled on
delicious.
an Italian via Osso Buco. And so it's got onions and carrots and celery. And let's put those here.
It's so good.
Oh, I'm so glad you're eating already.
Larissa has made her way
no
back to the
reason
counter.
to
as
wait.
she's
I'm
here.
eating already.
I lost my bay leaf here. So you're gonna cook this in the same oil that you cook you brown the brisket, so that you get like the little pieces of meat and the brown parts. And typically you would cook this for about 5 minutes or so.
Okay. To get those onions
So just get the onion,
translucent.
exactly. You know your onions. So there you go. You kind of cook them like that. And then after these have cooked for a little bit, you're going to end up adding white wine. And what makes this recipe brighter than your classic, like, heavy winter brisket is that it has white wine and not red wine. It doesn't have any, like, sweet sauces that a lot of people put into brisket.
I like that. I like the fact that it doesn't have
Yeah,
very
isn't that
tasty,
nice?
very clean.
Yeah, I'm all about taking traditional food and making it lighter. If I can take out the calories and make it good, I'd rather save my sweeteners for desserts rather than my savory.
I love that.
Now, is there a specific type of white wine you would use?
Oh, I usually use whatever's sitting in the fridge that's going to get thrown out, you know? I'm all about repurposing, right?
Ooh.
So when you add the white wine, it kind of sizzles up. And whenever a recipe calls for you to add wine to the vegetables, you want to wait until the liquid is mostly gone.
Right, because the wine burns off.
Right, and you can also make this in a Dutch oven so that you would have that on the stove. Here we have this great pan that has a nice bottom here. And then you cook this until it evaporates. Can you smell it? It smells really wonderful here.
And then we add in is that just chopped tomatoes?
This is just canned tomatoes with the juices you're going to add to that.
Right.
And then we're going to add tomato paste as well.
There you go, which is, I feel, the secret ingredient to so many dishes.
I agree. But here's a great tip about tomato paste. You know, you open up the can, you use a tablespoon or two, and then what do you do with it? So measure tablespoons, freeze them in wrapped in plastic. So they're in your freezer. You just pull 1 or 2 out whenever you need them.
Because that can goes bad otherwise.
Right.
I mean, you never use the
How good is that?
You know, I've always wondered, why don't tomato paste companies just serve them in just sell them in single servings?
Well, you know what?
Wait a minute, I'm going to sell it.
Well, in Europe, they sell it in tubes, like toothpaste tubes. They sell like tomato paste in tubes, so it always stays good. And you just squeeze out what you want.
Yes, that's the good stuff.
It's such good stuff. All right, so I'm going to bring this over here now. So, you know, this gets cooked for a little, you know, till it's nice and comes together. Let me turn this off here.
And then we put this guy.
And we're going to put this back in. You got it?
I got it.
I'm standing
Whoa.
back. I'm standing back.
It's heavy.
Oh, you got it.
There we go.
Right, so yeah, so then you would, you know, put some of this stuff on top of it. This is like the thickest brisket I've ever seen. It's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
It's just
We do our best here. We have an amazing executive chef.
You do, and then we're going to add black pepper on top and a little bit of salt. And I tend to not cook with too much salt because you can always add more at the end, you know?
It's hard to take away.
It really is.
So now we pop this in the oven.
Yeah,
Whoa, you get your workout as well.
All right, put in the
You're
bottom.
burning the calories before you eat. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Boy.
okay,
You're
hold
not
on.
kidding. There we go. Oh, careful
All right.
your fingers.
Right, so I'm going to get out the other one that we already
Okay.
cooked, and I'm going to talk about like how we bake it because it's a really bit of a unique method.
Right.
So I'm going to take this one out. This one has already been sliced and baked. Check this out.
Now, what is the baking process?
Okay, so first you put that in at 375 for about an hour and a half, whole.
Okay.
And then you take it out and you slice it and you cook it again for another hour, hour and a quarter, and that's what makes it so moist.
And it soaks up all those juices.
Yeah, and the important thing about slicing brisket, I just want to show everybody here. You see it's got like little pieces there? Like if you slice it where there's lines, that's kind of with the grain. You want to do it against the grain.
Okay.
But this is what brightens this up and makes this a springtime brisket is gremolata.
What is
this
gremolata?
Is parsley and lemon zest and garlic.
Okay.
And you add it at the end, so it doesn't really cook that much.
This really is Italian inspired. But
Yeah, it's
gremolata
like-
is Italian, no?
Right, because via Osso Buco is a classic
Right.
Italian dish, and what I did was take that method, and you kind of tuck in the gremolata in here, add some of the sauce. I know. Here, let me give you some.
you're
of this so you
teasing
can
me.
eat. I know. Let me find you a good piece here.
Oh, yeah, with one of the crunchy bits, too, on the end.
Crunchy bits. All right.
Am I asking too much?
I know. Let me use that, and
Okay,
I'll
there
get
you
some
go.
out of there.
I'll stand back.
Here, start with like a smaller
What?
piece.
Is that all you're giving
I'm
me?
giving
Come
you
on.
more. I'm just trying to cut these pieces. Oh, they're gorgeous. Okay, you want a piece? Come on over here. Let's really party with the brisket.
I love
All right,
brisket
here we
so
go.
much. There we go.
There you go.
Perfect. Wow.
Delicious.
And the gremolata is such a cool method because if you had a soup, like a vegetable soup that didn't have enough flavor, you could always just add a gremolata or pesto at the end, and it pops the flavor as opposed to getting cooked with it in the oven and the recipe, and the flavors just disappear altogether.
Debbie's not
I just
shy.
gave
She's
myself
going
a
for
little-
some more.
little more.
All
Let's
right,
not be
everybody,
shy.
you can head over to hallmarkchannel.com for the full recipe. And for more great dishes, check out Paula's cookbook, The Healthy Jewish Kitchen.
Wow.
Coming up next,
glad.
Layla Ali is sharing one of her favorite ways to display our most